Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Maker Space and Meet the Maker. I hope you guys are having a good evening. We're having a little bit of technology issues, so hopefully Jim, who is our guest this evening, will be able to pop on and say hi to everybody and meet you guys. Really great maker and someone who has really helped me with what I'm doing. There he is. All right, so let's let him get set up, and we will introduce Jim to come on in once he gets everything set up on his end. I can't see you, Jim. I'm just going to pull you. I'm not going to pull you up on the stage just yet, but I want to say hi to everybody who's popping in. First of all, Rachel Jordan, what is going on? New member, talent salute to you, my friend. Thank you very much for joining the apprenticeship with AriesEDC. Thank you so much. Marco, Sean F, Kathleen, what's going on? Kelly's Mishmash, moderator and channel member. John the engineer, Jim Miller, popping in, moderator and channel member. Marco, Kane Miranda, channel member. What is going on? El Cap, hey, what's going on, man? Thanks for popping in. Jim, are you good? Give me a thumbs up. You're good. You're good to go. Yeah. All right. Here we go. All right, guys. So I just want to introduce Jim. I'm gonna butcher the last name. Hoehne, I think, is how you say it. Very awesome with Jim Hoehne knives, and there he is.
My daddy said Hoehne, Jim Hoehne.
Hoehne?
It makes no sense at all to me, but my daddy said it, so that's what I do.
There you go. How are you?
Jim Hoehne, Jim Honey, whatever.
Okay. However you want to say it, right? As long as nobody gets offended if we say it wrong.
No, man, I've heard it all.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for popping in and doing this with me this evening.
Hey, I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, this will be fun. Right off the bat, guys, I want everybody to know that Jim inspired me to help get into the making part of this. He really introduced me to stock removal knife making, and then I was like, oh, wow, wait. Stock removal is something I could do. I thought everything was forging, and then you introduced me to stock removal, and I was like, okay, wait a minute. That might be something I could do. And I was interested in getting into it, and you gave me a ton of information, and I thank you so much for allowing me to pick your brain to get started into this crazy hobby of ours.
You were hungry. You were hungry for it.
Yeah, I was really looking for an outlet and something that I can get involved in, and you definitely helped me out with that. So I thank you for being patient with me with answering all my questions.
Yeah, anytime. And you've progressed so much since I first met you, and I'm learning from you.
No,
I love it.
Nobody should be learning from me.
No, you definitely have some things to share. I really I appreciate your perspective. It's different from mine. And,
yeah. Well, I think we all come from a different place, and I definitely just have my aesthetic, which I like, and you have yours, and I am lucky enough to own one of yours.
Oh, look at that! Yeah.
The Shriek, is it? Shrike.
I like to name my knives after birds of prey.
Yeah, so I know Jim does a lot of knives, and all of them are all based off of birds of prey. So that is my Shrike that you made. I love this thing, 440C. You polished it. You rounded the spine on it. You did all this extra work that I didn't even ask for. You just kind of did it.
Yeah, the knife told me what it wanted to be.
Yeah, that's what you said. That's exactly what you told me.
Yeah,
and it's perfect. I love this thing, 440C. I love the contrast with that raw. steel.
Oh, that pickled finish. Yeah.
The pickled finish and then the polish. Yeah,
That was
you
actually
outdid.
that was probably the last knife that I made from that bar of steel, and I haven't been able to find that steel since then.
Yeah. Oh, and I had some 440C that was similar, but it didn't have the texturing that did. But yeah, I haven't been able to find anything like that. And I don't know what happened. It must have been just that bar of steel.
Must have been.
The
Sometimes
stuff
we
that they
just get
had
lucky.
Yeah, but you roll with it, right? That's, that's what you have. You make the best out of it, or you try to sand it all out, I guess. But
But I knew I
I
didn't
like
want to sand that off. I like
no,
that finish. I like that texture.
I
That
did too.
patina. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
perfect. So I just ran a buffing wheel over it when it was all done, and it was really quite easy. It was.
Yeah, it's a really great texture. I love the texture on it. But all right, Jim. So I kind of talked to you beforehand, and one of the things that I do when I meet the maker is really just to get to know you. It's not necessarily to push your product or to do anything, but to get some eyeballs on what you're doing. But one thing I don't know is how you got started in this. What got you started into knife making?
I make body braces and artificial limbs. I see patients, and years ago, I made. Oh gosh, when I first started this industry, this career in 1979, and we used knives, we used tools, and I made 2 knives back in the day. I still have them, and they're meant to be used. Typically, I would use them for leather work, and they're pretty crude. It didn't occur to me to pull those out of the deep storage.
No, you're good.
But yeah, I've always been fascinated by knives. The next knife I made after those was a kit, and you buy the blade. It's already beveled. It's finished. It's heat treated, and it comes with a handle. But I didn't like the handle, so I made my own handle. And I guess I was doing that custom work, even then. And when I moved to Florida in 1995, I ran into a guy who was also an orthotist. That's what I am, professionally, an orthotist. And he makes knives. And coincidentally, Dan Steffen passed away about a month ago. And he was my first mentor. He taught me so much about stock removal. And I still use his elements of design, even today. So when I make a knife like this, the curves, if I show this knife to someone who knew Dan and knew his work, they would recognize the lineage of that. And I try to honor him by doing the best job that I can. So that's what I got started. And I showed you some pictures of a couple of knives.
Yeah, I'll pull those pictures up here in a little bit.
And my first knives, my first custom knives, I had no machinery other than a buffer. And so all of that stock removal was done with a hacksaw. And then I would just file the profile. And I used files.
Jeez.
Those little needle files to shape the bevels. And there's one knife that I sent a picture that has that incredible patina. That's a deep hollow grind that I did with files way back when.
Really?
I would never want to do that again. Never want to do that again. But
because that's. Hold on, let me. I'm gonna pull that up. Let's see. We're gonna. This one.
Yes.
So that's okay. I can see the hollow grind now. That's crazy. And you did it with a file?
I did it with files. Just little, the Swiss the little Swiss files. Gosh, and I have 2 boxes here. Here's a little Riffer file, that I use to work on that. And I would clamp that metal in a vise, and I would work on it to the wee hours of the morning until, my eyes were so blurry I couldn't see anything. And when I finished work on that blade for that evening, I would put it into this. It's just a little leather sheath, it's and I sewed it shut and to protect it. Well, a few years, about that time, I went through a divorce. And so, that knife just got tucked away somewhere, and I discovered it 30 years later, still in this sheath, right? And it had rusted beyond recognition. All right.
Oh, wow.
Deep pits. And so I showed it to Dan, and he said, I would just leave it. Don't bother trying to sand that rust away. Clean the rust, kill the rust with a chemical to kill the rust, and then just finish the knife. And that's what I did. So it is truly a unique piece. And if I wanted to make another one, I'd have to bury it in the dirt, for 30 years to get the same finish, right?
Yeah, nice. To get that finish. Well, there's ways to get it now, but you probably are better off not doing it. But that's so I've heard a lot of people, I've had other people on who said the first knife was done with a file and just setting up a jig and then just, back and forth, but never with like the small hand files on that. That would just be crazy, and especially to do a hollow. I can't even think of how you would even do it. But
I was too ignorant to know any better. Too ignorant in knife techniques. There's my very first nice custom knife. I also sent pictures of that to you. And
is that the one with the wood? The wood?
Yeah, with the wood case.
Here, let me pull it up.
And so that was all done with, that's a flat grind. And so it was done with files. When I got the bevel the way I wanted it, then it was the hand sanding. It was all, no machines on that other than a buffing wheel at the end of the process. And the whole time I was making that knife, I'm thinking, all right, I can keep the knife. What am I going to do with it? Am I going to sell it? Am I going to give it away? Who would I give it to? A family member? No. I gave it to my therapist because my marriage was failing. I was, just going through some stuff. It was a bad couple of years. And this man, so this man made a difference in my life. And I thought, I'm going to give that to John. And if you could read the
I don't know if I can't zoom in.
So I gave that knife to John, and it says, John, thank you for helping me cut through the crap. Love, Jim.
Yeah,
and he kept that. He kept that in an honored place in his office. And a number of years later, when he passed away, his executor contacted me and asked me, some questions. Do I want this or do I want that? And well, no. But, if I could have anything at all from John's estate, it would be that knife that I made for him. And she said, and I described it. She said, I think I remember seeing a piece of wood on a shelf. And when the box is closed, it looks like a log, right? Yeah,
I saw you guys. I just had the picture up on it. That's funny. And then you open it and the knife is inside.
And it came to me, came back to me. What a treasure that is.
That is awesome that you were able to get it back though.
Yeah.
In honor of him.
In honor of him, absolutely.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, it's funny how things come back full circle sometimes on that.
I think so. I don't like the idea. I don't want to be the knife maker that just makes knives for the purpose of selling them. Ultimately, that's it. We make knives for other people, right? I choose to make knives for me. And if someone likes it and they wish to have it, then that's great. That's great. And there's usually some meaning behind these, where I came up with the idea for the pattern, my selection of materials. It's let me show you this Bowie knife.
Well, I knew it was coming, Jim.
Oh. So my knife making friends all say, just finish it already. I started this knife probably 8 years ago.
Yeah,
when
I've seen it change about 3 times.
You've seen this knife, right?
I've seen it. Every time I see it, it's different.
And so I'm slowly getting to it. And what would happen is I would reach a problem in the fabrication that I lacked the ability. I didn't have the tools to solve that problem. So I just put it aside.
Yeah.
And
well, hold it up, because that thing has a ton of such small, intricate details. All of the engraving and everything you've done to it. Hold on, let me make you big so we could see it. But all of this hand engraving that's done on the handle and the guard, and that's ebony.
It's ebony, yes.
So you got ebony wood.
I used lotus flower as an inspiration for the carving. And, you really have to shade your eyes a lot to think about, to get to that point. But but that's what I did. The light just isn't really right to be able to appreciate.
Just the intricate detailed carving in that handle is ridiculous.
Yeah. And I think that the file work on here,
and then you love your file work.
This massive blade. So the finish, I'm redoing the finish because I'm not satisfied with it's got some things about it that I don't like. So I set it aside, and so it'll be hand sanded to probably an 800 grit satin finish, and then who knows, it might even be ready to display.
You never know. I mean, you always have it on display. That's for sure. Yeah, Rolf, that was all file work done on the spine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of you can also see there's a stainless steel plate, and it's coined, so there's more file work with that coining. The pommel is coined all around the perimeter, and again, it's the cameras don't show that very well. See, I see the coin.
Yeah, I can see that. There you go.
Yeah. And so I had to make this pommel nut.
Yep. You had to do so many different things to that thing. I know.
And I thought I was done, right? So I engraved my name on it, and then I had to do some more work, and I bumped into my engraving, my name. So then that had to come off.
Yeah.
There's always something, right?
Yep. I mean, I know that, and you sent all that stuff out to get like heat treated and changed to different colors and like the darkened steel and everything else on that thing.
I'd even etched it, and I didn't like the way it came out, so I'm not gonna etch it again. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
No, that thing looks beautiful with the hand satin. I think that's one of my favorite things to do. So.
Oh, it's so old school, isn't it?
Well, I mean, you have when you do it, and you've done it, and you get it to that point where it looks good to you. There's something about you've taken that time to hand sand that thing to get it to that nice finish that it's I don't know. It's a little bit more fulfilling to be able to get that finish on it.
It's kind of a Zen thing. You just stroke, and the steel makes a noise. It talks to me.
Yep.
From the sandpaper, from the vibrations and the scraping, and a lot of guys complain about hand sanding. I don't. I think that it's I don't know. I mean,
it's definitely a therapeutic time, but depending on what you're hand sanding and what you're trying to do, but I would agree to watch all the grind lines get smoothed out over a period of time is very therapeutic, and you feel very accomplished afterwards to get a nice clean finish on a blade.
Right. If I'm gonna buff it out to a mirror finish, that's just technical. That's going from one grit to another wheel, different grit. Got to go back to the other grit again. That kind of nonsense. Hand sanding is different. It really is different. And I don't like it enough that I want to hand sand every knife.
Well, yes.
But when I do it, it's kind of special.
Yes, Jim, you can feel the paper. You can feel what the paper is doing. Mm-hmm. Once you starts to get smoothed out, you can start to feel, okay, it's getting smooth now. So
another knife maker had given me some tips, and he said, when I was talking with him about it, about hand sanding, he said, you hand sand wet, right? Wet? No. Oh, yeah. You got to use some WD-40 or Windex, and you hand sand wet. And that's when the steel started talking to me.
Yeah. And you you did the WD-40 or the Windex with me, and that was a game changer. It was just the way that that liquid just sits on the blade versus water or something else. It just sits there so that you can really, really smooth that out. And that was a game changer for me.
Yeah, and you can see the color change as it gets clogged with grit from the
absolutely
with the grit, and then you wipe it off and start fresh, and
needs to be displayed for everyone. Yeah, Lancelot Leather is a amazing leather worker. He's like, a sheath would only cover the beauty of work of art that needs to be displayed. Talking about that knife you just held up, so that's good.
Well, that's
but Jim does leather sheaths, and he does really good leather sheaths too. So, and you have helped me with that journey, which I'll do it again one day. I'll try.
I keep pushing you. Going, do leather. Because you can embellish that leather. You can stamp it. You can put your mark on it in so many ways.
Oh yeah.
And again, I enjoy that. Here's a little bit of leather work.
Oh, that's that fillet knife you were telling me.
Yeah, that's a fillet knife. And, there's I have a stamp with my mark. And,
that's awesome.
Just unclip it, and so this is also, as much a work, a piece of art as the knife is. Now, this knife was commissioned by a dear friend, and he selected the handle material. He selected this snakewood, and it was my idea to put the red on there. And again, there's that bird, right?
Yeah, that's the bird head on the back. Yeah.
So this turned out pretty nice. Look at that. This is a nice 400 grit satin finish. This is a working knife, so he's going to be using this knife and taking care of it.
That's good. I like 400 to 600 is a good finish on a nice flat. I know I have one sitting over here that I did fairly well.
And it's easy to touch up, right?
Yeah, it is easy to touch up, and it's one of those things that you're kind of like, okay, I did good. It's hard.
Looks great.
But it's hard. I should probably not put myself there, but I know you got to see this at the show, but
that's right. Yeah,
I did fairly well with it. I got a nice even finish on it. That's for sure.
That is nice. That's beautiful.
But yeah, nice little pink.
And it feels good in the hand.
Yeah. I mean, mine does. But yeah, it's just a nice clean hand satin finish. It's very rewarding when you're done and you see it and you're like, yeah. I'm still trying to get good at belt finishes and getting them even. I know
that's when so when you're using the belts, you can become faster and become really you can crank them out a lot easier.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with the belt finish is like, obviously you're done on the belt and you don't have to turn around and hand sand it all out.
So what do you like to use? What do you like to use for that final finish? You use a 3M?
I usually go to 4, and then I'll use the Scotch-Brite pads that you had told me about. So I use the Scotch-Brite, and then lately I've been finishing with the Scotch-Brite on a pretty low speed. I don't try to go too high on the speed on that, but
yeah, if you go too fast, you'll burn that belt. You'll burn that Scotch-Brite.
Yeah, so I try to go low speed just to try to get a nice even finish on it. When I do it, it's still a work in progress for me. I would much rather end at like 200, 400 on the bevels and then just hand sand it out.
So I'm experimenting now with a couple of knives. The last few knives I've made with what I call a working finish, and that's going to be stone washed.
Yeah.
And, because the patina left by the stone wash is looks very much like you've had that knife, for 20 years and you used it. And
I just got done with a couple of ones that I did the tumbled finish on. But yeah, it's definitely a working finish. Let me make myself big so you could see it maybe a little bit better. But.
So that's stone washed? Yeah,
it's tumbled. My camera's not picking it up, but you can see kind of the tumbled finish on it. I tumbled it for, a good 45, 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really difficult to see in that light. But
what media do you use in your tumbler?
I actually used, so I use what you're supposed to, the little triangle stone stuff.
The ceramic stones?
Yeah, the stuff that kind of is supposed to be the medium for that. But then I had these little clay balls that were used for like a soil medium, and it's just little clay balls. And most of the medium that's in there is that. And it works pretty well. I've thrown like a little couple rocks in there, and I've thrown a bunch of little different things in there. And I just have the small tumbler from Harbor Freight.
Yeah, I got the larger one. I got the larger one from Harbor Freight.
Yeah. And I should have bought the larger one, and I didn't.
Yeah. Well, if you're making primarily everyday carry, the size knives that I see you making, I think that small one's going to work out just fine.
Yeah, that's it's just not supposed to have like fluid or anything in it, but
no, I'm told that it should have water.
I have a little bit in mine, but when I opened that box on the small one, it was like, do not add liquid. But I did. I guess void my warranty on that, I guess. I mean, whatever. But I've done all my acid etching. When I acid etch and I tumble something, I always tumble in that. So that's that's my bloom. But
hey, have you tried etching stainless steel?
Yeah. After heat treat, that's what this is AEB-L. And that's acid etched. I usually can't get a really dark acid etch on it, but I get a nice dark gray.
What are you using?
I was using ferrochloride and apple cider vinegar mixture, like a 60-40 split with that.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
I can get it pretty dark, but not like black or anything. But I can get a pretty good dark, nice etch to it. And then when you tumble it, it comes out well.
It does. I like how the stone wash works. It just and if I don't like it, I just etch it again.
Yeah, and that's yep. Or you can do the coffee, I guess too. But with like a carbon steel or Damascus, that works a little bit better. Not necessarily with some of the other stuff.
Yeah, I
can
do the
get a nice,
coffee. I
yeah,
do the coffee overnight.
yeah, a good 6 to 8 hours is what I usually do when I'm coffee edging. Thanks to you, you given me that information. you
I
gave
give.
me the information, so
I freely give what was freely given to me.
well, and I do the same. I
Right.
don't
Well,
have
when
as
you
much
look at
info.
knife makers, now these are men and women that make their living in some fashion by making knives. All right, and yet they will freely help another knife maker and as competition, I suppose. But that never enters
It's
into
not.
it. Not with the men that I've been working with. They're just so
That's
generous.
the knife making community has been amazing.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think I've ever run into any maker that wasn't willing to give a little bit of help, or if you had a question, like on if I see somebody posting something on Instagram that they're doing something and something that I'm like, hey, wait, I would like to do that. How are you doing that? I shoot them a little message and they're very open to help.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has ever been like, just blow you off and not answer, unless they just don't answer their messages. But for most part, people are very willing to help.
Yeah, I've only experienced that once. When I asked the knife maker, how did you do that?" And he just shot me down. And it was online. It was a Facebook thing, and I was really just left a bad taste in my mouth. And I promised myself I would never do that to anyone else.
Yeah. See, I haven't run into that. I mean, I've talked to a lot of different makers, especially now that I'm in the YouTube and that kind of world, and it's always open to, hey, if you ever, and it's always, if you're ever struggling, let me know and I'll help you, or I'm always here for you. So it's like, I've never had anybody just like totally blow me off and not be willing to help. So that it's awesome.
I'm so
I can't
blessed.
understand.
I have one, two. I have four knife makers, high-end knife makers, at this very moment that I could call them. I can go to their shop, and they will welcome me into their shop, into their, their cave, right?
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
blessed are we
Yeah,
that this
I mean,
happens?
so do I, because you have Corey, and we've had Corey on this show before. Everybody knows who Corey Holly is now. You have Dan. He's out by you too, right?
Yes, Corey lives about 40 minutes away from me. Reese Wheeland, just about 10 minutes farther. Dan Piergalini, Melvin Lozada, and Hunter. These are all competent, high-end knife makers, and they're just so free with their advice. And I'll bring a problem to any one of them, and they'll explain to me how to solve that problem. And then there's always the question, would you like to watch while I fix it? It's like,
Yeah.
wow.
See, that's the biggest thing, because I learned by either doing or watching it being done.
Right.
So if I can see it being done and see how they've set up the machine or see how they're doing it, then that's like huge. So yeah, I wish I had people closer.
So think about the pressure, all right, when a high-end knife maker fixes one side of the knife, and then he hands it back to me. He says, "Okay, now you do the other side."
Yeah,
and he's just laughing at me.
That is some pressure right there, especially if it's Dan. Especially Dan.
Oh yeah, he can be
Dan, what is it,
a
Pellegrini?
stern taskmaster.
Pellegrini?
Yes,
Yeah.
Piergalini.
Piergalini?
Yep.
All right.
Dan
Dan's a good guy, but that is he.
So I was
He's been doing it
to see
a long
Dan on
time.
Saturday, and I bought some Mokume Gagne from that Alfred.
Oh, you got some of that?
Yeah. he shared a piece with me from a now deceased knife maker, Pendrick,
Yeah.
Alfred Pendrick.
He had some of that, and that stuff is beautiful.
Did you see the ivory that he brought to the last meeting?
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm gonna have to. So that was a piece of walrus tusk, guys.
Yes.
There was a piece of walrus tusk about this big. I have to find it. I'm gonna have to find it. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. I know I
Did you take a picture of it?
I did take a picture of it, and I sent it to my buddy Gareth, because we messed with Gareth about his hippo, because he's actually lives in South Africa, and he messes with us with this little piece of hippo tooth that he has, and I was like, oh yeah, you want to see a hippo tooth? Here you go. How about this? And I shared a picture of that. So hold on, I'll pull it up. Look at this. That's that's just like a little quarter of this pair of walrus tusks that Dan had, that he's already made a knife out. But yeah, that's and that's like what, 2.5, almost 3 inches around.
Easily.
Yeah, that thing was ridiculous.
So look at this. So this is not terribly big. I'll be able to get two knife handles out of this.
What is that?
That's a walrus tusk.
Oh, that's a part of that?
Part of another piece. This is the tip.
Ah, man, that's cool. Yeah, you could get 2 handles out of that.
Oh yeah, easily.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
So I've got a variety of there's some more, and I have to find the right knife to use this material. All right?
Yeah. SC Knife Maker, what's going on, man? Hey, thanks for joining and becoming a member, my friend. Thank you so much. That's awesome. My salute to you. Talent salute to you, my friend. Yeah, that's the thing. When you get some of this handle material, you're like, they got to find the right knife for that kind of material. Like, people have offered to send me antler or stag or something like that. It's not a material I work with a lot. Just any kind of bone is not something I've ever worked with. I've worked with mammoth ivory or mammoth molar. I had it stabilized and unstabilized, come to find out, and unstabilized was not fun.
No,
I was told it was stabilized and it was not stabilized, but I got a piece of stabilized and it was fine. Yeah, I had no issues, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Someone commissioned a pair of knives, and she had purchased the mammoth molar scales. One was green, one was red, and the
pictures you shared with me?
Yes. First time working with that material, and wow, it's just, you just have to be so careful. And if I broke those scales, then it's gonna be a search, and then that's an expense I have to endure, right?
Yeah. And they were or were not.
They were stabilized. Yes.
They were.
Nevertheless, they still would crack.
Well, yeah. I mean, but it's night and day, because I've worked with some that was not stabilized, and just trying to do anything, it was chipping and burning. It was a nightmare. Just trying to cut it. Ugh. Yeah. But I got some that was stabilized, and it was night and day. I was able to drill holes. I was able to do everything, and it was done very well. And I was able to finish it. Let's share those knives, because I did have those. picture. Let me go back and find those pictures before I
tell you a funny story about that. I drilled the holes for the pins, through the scales, and I noticed some cracking taking place around the pins. So I'm going to put some super glue in those cracks to seal them so that they don't continue.
Yeah.
Well, I laid them on top of my bench anvil, 55-pound bench anvil, and I put a little super glue on it, really thin stuff, and it soaked in. I thought, that looks good, and I went to remove them. I had glued them to the anvil. So I super glued those.
I saw where this was going.
So the only way to get them off is heat. So I had to heat the anvil up to whatever, with a heat gun. It probably took me 2 hours, and eventually they broke loose. Yeah. But it was a real butt clench moment, I'll tell you.
Yeah, these are those two knives that we're talking about. With the molar, just looks. The molar, I like the molar over the ivory, but yeah, molars are really great. It looks so good.
Yeah, they shine. It's just magnificent.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Ivory is, you can do so much with ivory. You can carve it. You can, you can just do so much with it. It's just gorgeous stuff.
And Jim does do sheaths, guys, and that's part of one of his sheaths that he made. Really great work. I'm trying. Oh, see, now this is kind of very similar to the Shrike that
same pattern.
It's the same pattern as the one I have.
Yes.
But the first one I saw was of Damascus, but it had ivory, mammoth ivory. But you did all of the jimping and all of the file work all the way around the handle.
All around the handle. And the blade.
Yeah. And it's just, that stuck with me. And that was like, I can't afford that, but I want that pattern of a knife, because you could see all the beautiful jimping or all the beautiful file work that he does all along the spine. It's just amazing. Just amazing. You have patience. There's the file work on the big knife, so you guys can see that. But yeah, just really good stuff.
So speaking of file work, I made a pair of knives as a wedding gift for my daughter.
Oh yeah, I have those pictures.
And so that's that rope file work once again. Beautiful Damascus. I used bamboo for the handles. Made the presentation box.
Oh, that's here at the bottom. There it is. So there's the presentation box, which I think is awesome that you do. I love the woodwork that goes with some of these, like a stand or like that one guy. So that's the knives that you made. Matching. I love that.
Well, it's the same profile, all right, but
the flipped.
The cutting edge is different. So the knives are the same but different, just like male and female.
Cutting edge is here, and this is the cutting edge over here. That's awesome. And then the file work on them.
Yeah, a lot of dirty fingers.
Hey, we don't care about dirty fingers here. That is for sure.
Yeah, I learned to do that file work from Dan Stefan, and he taught me a little trick about that rope file work that very few knife makers do. It's just one extra cut, one extra file line across the top of that, and it really does make it stand out. I've had many knife makers compliment me on that extra touch.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that extra little line or whatever that you do on it is amazing. So, yeah, I give it to you. I have tried my hand at just a little bit of file work, and has gone okay, but I just don't have the patience for it to sit there just I could barely do the sharpening choils without going crazy. So,
Well, Corey does a nice job with a with a Dremel and a carbide cutter, and
yeah.
he'll make cuts here and then between them on the other side. And it's very simple, it's very quick, and it's a nice look.
Yep. I have to get with him on what exactly the tips that he does on it. But yeah. Because I don't know. I do simple. You know I like little simple things. So that's awesome. Yeah, so it's fun to share these pictures, to look back. It's great you had some mentors to work with, and you still have a good. Where you are, there's a great knife community, kind of within that area, and we're within 30 to 45 minutes from you.
Well, I have to drive about an hour and a half to get to Melvin's shop, and that's a whole day event. So I'll bring some blades to Melvin's shop. We'll heat treat them, temper them, and then get them to the surface grinder, and boom, they're ready. Now they're ready for the bevels, and I can do the bevel work here at home.
Yeah. See, I need to start hitting people up to go do some of my heat treating, especially on some of my stainless stuff. I can do that.
I used to send it out, right? I used to send it out, but now it's just as easy. It's so easy for me to go see one of these guys. And an oven is in my future. So I've decided that I'm not going to go to Blade in Atlanta this year, and instead take the money that I would have spent. Let's face it, it's $1,000 for transportation, hotel, and meals for those 3-4 days.
Easy.
Yes. And then it's another $1,000 or more that I would spend, shopping. All right. So I'm going to take that estimated $2,000, and I'm going to buy a heat treat oven and a surface grinding attachment to add to my. I'm almost in tears thinking about missing Blade. It's just like, that's Mecca.
I've never been, and I keep hearing it. Next year, I want to go, but I have to figure out all the arrangements with that, just to make sure. I have an idea of what I want to do, but it's a matter of just putting it all together and doing it. So hopefully we can. I can get up there, because if I go, I want to do the full experience. I want to do all 3 days and really take it in. I want to meet all the people that have supported me with the channel, other makers that are doing. I know Corey goes every year. There's a lot of other companies that are going to be there. Hopefully, Kubi, who's doing my production blade, will be there next year as well. And I can share that with everybody, because I have two more coming, because that's my production blade.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful knife.
So it's my Bloom design that
it's the perfect everyday carry. It really is.
They did a pretty good job on it. And I have 2 other designs coming out with them this year. That's not the right sheath. But I have 2 more designs coming out with them. So by next year, there might be 3 Kubi designs by AriesEDC on there. So that I need to get to Atlanta next year. We'll work that out. But
next year, why don't we go together?
Yeah, I would love that.
We'll go in one vehicle, and just go back and forth to the hotel. My wife could drop us off, because she can only take that for so long.
Because she's not going to want to
shopping. Yeah,
she wants to do shopping. I know.
Yeah.
We can do that, Atlanta, or if we can get a big group of people, we can try to Airbnb it or something. I think that's what a lot of people are doing, is they Airbnb, get like a house, and then everybody splits it 3 or 4 ways, and it helps a little bit with the end of cost and that. But
everyone gets their own bedroom. You can share a kitchen. I think that's good.
Yep. So we can, yeah, definitely we need to hook it up. That's for sure. Because
Absolutely.
I definitely want to go. And I definitely want to spend the 3 days hanging out, meeting everybody. Because and like I have explained, everybody says there's no way you can get to everything in 3 days.
You can't. Even if you run, you'll be able to go past every table, and that's about it. But there's also, the Blade University, so you can take classes.
Yeah, I know.
Photography or design work or forging. The classes
it's all there. And my problem is I want to see not just the production stuff, but I also want to see the custom stuff and then the materials and and then the people, and it's just I'm gonna be all over. But it'll be fun.
The goal is to see most of the tables in both rooms, and with that, you're going to be you're going to want to stop at individual tables and talk to these knife makers that you've only read about. You've seen their work in the magazines or in the shop in production, but to meet them is really nice. To handle those amazing knives, those beautiful art pieces.
I mean, I have fun just going to the Gator Cutlery show there in Lakeland, just to meet some of those makers.
Yes.
And there was some different ones this year, and I got to meet some other cool makers that are doing some really amazing things. But I can only imagine what Blade Show would be like. That's for sure. Because I know Evan Martin, he'll probably be there. Corey always has a table there, but it'll be.
I don't want to have a table at Blade, because then how can I see the rest of it?
It's you're married to the table the whole time.
Yes.
That would be too much.
Right.
Too much. I would rather just walk around. I don't want a table either. I don't need a table. I don't want to do that. That's too much effort.
Well, I keep pressuring you to get a table at Gator. And,
I know.
And I understand your rationale. It makes perfect sense to me. But the truth is, you will add something to the show. Your skill set, your knives, and your direction you belong there.
Yeah. And I'm not saying because of course I do. But I want to do it. I want to bring more attention to that show because it is such a really cool show. I live streamed from that show when I was there. My buddy Chris, War Room EDC. I haven't seen him in the chat, but he was with me, and I set up my phone, and I was actually live streaming from the show. So, and I always try to drive people to go to that show. If you're ever in the Central Florida area, or if you live in the Central Florida area, then that's a really great show to attend. You get a good mix of customs, good mix of production, good mix of antiques, good mix of all the case and the Randall made stuff, and it's just a lot of really cool, really good stuff.
Collectibles, and let's not forget the auction. Let's not forget the auction.
I always forget Saturday the auction.
Night. That's so much fun.
Yeah. What time is that on Saturday night?
Oh, it starts like at 6 or 7. Like the show, the exhibit hall closes at 5 or 6, and then there's just enough time to go out and get some dinner and then go to the auction. It's
maybe next year I'll try to get there a little later so I can be part of the auction. I've thought about it. Believe me, I've thought about it, but I would like to be part of the show just to try to spend some time there to get some footage and to get the word out there. I don't know about having a table or having enough knives to be able to put on a table to try to sell. But
Well, you sell them too quickly. you make your knives and you sell them. They sell right away.
Well,
What a great problem! I commend
there's
you on
that.
the quality of your problems.
There's that factor. Yeah, I did, and we told you what happened with Corey, right? With Corey and the collaboration project we did together.
Yeah. And Corey's a perfect partner for that.
So we went live on here. We just went live, and while we were live, I dropped those 4 knives on my Etsy store, and they were gone in a minute.
I can see why.
Heather in the background was like, "There's only one left. Oh, they're all gone."
Yeah,
and it's still mind-boggling to me that's happened and that it happens. But I don't know. It's just mind-boggling to me because I'll have 6 of these come June.
Yeah.
I'll have 6 of these done. Just a kind of a fun little kind of a Saks style Warncliffe blade. This one is blue G10 with red pins. I have a green. I have a black micarta with blue pins, and then I have 3 more that just got back from heat treat that I have to do the handles on and get them done. And then I'll drop those sometime in June whenever I get them done.
Sure.
But I also have 5 book spots that I'm working on too. So, and my grinder just died today, so I don't know. I gotta figure that out.
What belts are you running? What belt size?
It's a 2x42. Okay. I have a Grizzly 2x42 grinder. It's just a 2x72 shrunk down. Just the blade and the platen and everything else.
I've seen that in the Grizzly, the Grizzly website.
Yeah, and it just stopped. I went out there today. I went to go turn it on. It has power, but it's giving me some kind of error message. I have no idea what's going on with it. Luckily, I have my 1x30 to do the handle work because all I have is handles to work on now. So my 1x30 works on just cutting handle material and doing that. So
I guess you'll have to bring that to an electrician to figure out what's wrong, right?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I took it apart. I didn't see anything wrong with it. So I don't know. Yeah, Kathleen, it is pretty new. That's why. And of course, I can't call them because it's a holiday weekend. So I can't call them and be like, "Hey, can you help me troubleshoot this? What's this code that it's given me?" But yeah, I'll have to wait till Tuesday before I reach out to them. We'll see.
Oh, the waiting. No.
Yeah, Kelly, it should be under warranty. I haven't even had that thing a year. So.
Well, let's hope. Yeah, let's hope.
Yeah, I just need to get it fixed. If not, I'll have to buy another one, I guess. I don't know. It's not that I wanted to. I would much rather take that money and put it towards a heat treat oven. When you get yours, I want to know how that thing works because I would really love to pick your brain on that thing.
So the manufacturer is pushing me is advising me to buy the oven with the programmable thermostat, programmable control, and I just don't see a need for that. I've talked to Melvin, I've talked to Reese, to Dan, and they think that the programmable is a good idea because you may need it someday, and it's only an extra $100, all right, to get the programmable. I like the idea of the non-programmable because you just set the temperature, you hit the on button, you set the temperature, and there it goes.
Nothing goes wrong.
Right, it reaches temperature in 10 minutes. It's 110 volts. It's not 220. I've got 220 in the shop, but it's just easy. It's just plug it in, right?
Yep.
How easy? That's not
easy.
Not hard.
Plug
I can figure that out.
Yep.
So
plug and play.
I'm going to get the larger size, the 6x5x10, So it's 10 inches. The oven interior is 10 inches tall, and so I can just stand up a knife, inside. That's 10 inches and not bump into the coils, not run into any problems. I think that's going to be great. Most of my knives now, I've made some big knives, right? And I can always go to a mentor's shop or send it out for heat treatment. I guess
that's the good thing. But that's why when you told me about that, I was like, yes, because 10 inches is every one of my knives. Even my largest one would fit inside of there, no problem. So if it works, I'm going to be jumping all over to.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to call them on Tuesday and order that. I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah. Let me know, because that's always my next thing, because and knowing and understanding that just buying a heat treat oven doesn't solve all the problems. It creates more problems because you do have to then temper, and then you do have other things that you have to do associated with that heat treat.
Well, I can temper in my house oven, all right, or I can temper in this oven.
Yeah.
Instead of turning it up to 1900 degrees, I just turn it up to 400 or whatever.
But as far as like warping or any of that kind of stuff and having to get all of that fixed, when I send it out to Peters, they usually send it back to me pretty straight.
Right, and it's also cryo treated, right?
Yep, they cryo, and I love that they send me my little pink slip that I get with them. My little pink slip that says what the finished hardened is. Like, this is 61 HRC, and I always
test it.
So they test it. You see the little dimple on the blade where it was tested, and when I send my knives out, if it was in that batch, I'll make a copy of that and send it along with that, so that my customer or whoever's buying that knife, they actually get proof of HRC with their blade, which I think it's a good touch. It's something that, because Peters is
a professional heat treat. Yes.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's all they do. They not just do knives, but they heat treat steel of every kind for many different manufacturing and industrial purposes. So they do everything. But becoming heat treating, then there's all these other, and it all lies on you to make sure you do everything perfect to get everything done. So you got to get the carbide hammer, and you got to get the plates.
It's a whole new skill set.
You got to get a whole new thing, which is fine, because then you're still not waiting 2 to 3 weeks to get your stuff back from Peters or having to go drive 45 minutes an hour to somebody else's shop to do it.
Yes.
So
I bought the aluminum plates, the 1-inch thick aluminum plates for plate quenching, and so I'm getting close.
So you're ready.
I'm going to order the oven, and the same day I'll order the package of stainless steel foil. And bam, I'm ready, bro. I'm ready.
Yeah, you are ready. Yeah. Now, it's funny because I tried to pick other makers' brains, and it's some of them do the foil, some of them don't do the foil. I've heard both ways. I think the foil is a great thing. And then the plates, I'm going to have to find out where. Did you get the vise, or did you just buy the plates?
I bought the plates, and I bought the large vice grips from Harbor Freight. So I'll bolt the plates to the vice grips, and that's what my mentors use. No need to reinvent the wheel. I'll just I'll just copy what they do, right?
Yeah, I need to visit some other people's shop. That's for sure. I need to spend a couple weekends hanging out with some other people's shop.
Well, do you work during the week?
I'm off on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay. So
I know your schedule does vary.
yeah, I work 5 days a week, and I'm on call every fourth weekend. I'm on call this weekend, 3-day holiday weekend. Oh, lucky me. And so I had to go into work Saturday. I had to go into work today. I'll have to go into work tomorrow. And it just, it's job security. I'm not going to complain. I wish I had more time. I wish I had more time to make knives. Wish I had more time to goof off. But
yeah, we all do.
right.
We all do.
The truth is, I have a small mortgage left. Once that's paid off, I'm ready to retire. I'm ready.
That's the goal, right? That's everybody's goal.
Yeah.
That's why
some
can't
guys
move.
do it earlier, some do it later. But I really love what I do. I love my day job. I do. And what's nice for us, all right, is that we have this hobby that we love so much. So that when we do leave work and retire, we have something that's already fits us, it suits us, and
yep.
We can make some money with it. But it keeps us busy. It keeps our minds busy, keeps our hands busy, and we can be productive men.
Yeah.
So many men retire and they're no longer productive, and that's a soul-sucking scenario.
Absolutely.
That, we're obligated to work towards a good retirement.
Well,
I think that we are.
But I think with the making part of it, it doesn't matter if you're full-time, part-time, you're doing it for fun, you're doing it for to make some money if that's your goal. I think the purpose is to just have a creative outlet to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I love to ask people is, like, for me, I know when I did my first knife, the very first one, and I still have it, the very first knife, and they're never done, but when at least you can look at it and be like, okay, I'm done with this. And the sense of accomplishment and pride and whatever that is that you feel when you finish a product, when you starting from raw materials,
mm-hmm.
and you've cut it, you've shaped it, you've done all the things, and then you have this usable tool at the end of the day, that alone, it just feels so good.
I have trouble knowing when I'm done.
Yes. We know we have, that's the fun part is,
yeah.
And I have made a comment about chasing the perfect blade as a maker. And I've gotten the sideways eyes so many times when I make a comment like that, because it's like, there is no such thing, because it doesn't matter how good you were. There'll always be something that you feel like
the maker knows where the mistakes are.
Well, they know where the mistakes are, or they know that they could have done something better.
Yeah.
Where nobody else will see it. In everybody else's eyes, they're like, wow, that's amazing. It's perfect. Blah, blah, blah. But for you, it's like, no, there's that one little thing. There's that one little detail that I can see it. I can see it. And my eyes go right to it as soon as I see each one. But at the end of the day,
just keep your mouth closed. You don't tell anyone about it. All right.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to be like, well, there's this.
I did
point it
that.
out.
I used to do that.
A buddy of mine was like, you're making these things that are going to outlive you. And I never thought of it that way. And it was like, but you're right. As long as obviously they're cared for in a particular way, these tools that we are making will outlive both of us. They just will continue to just exist in the world and get passed on to people, and it'll just 15, 50 years from now, somebody will be like, well, what does that logo on there mean? Or you know,
a team of archaeologists 1,000 years from now will dig up this tool and say, what is this? What is that mark? Oh,
Yeah.
let me show you this.
Yeah.
Years ago, probably 20 years ago, I was in a pawn shop just looking around, and of course I'm looking at knives, and I found this knife. It just in a box of other knives, and I knew instantly that it was a custom knife, and it was all rusted and dirty and beat up, and so I snapped it up, and this is it.
Wow. Look at that. So you just grabbed, oh no. Hold on. Let me make you big. So you snatched that knife out of the bin,
Yes.
and you just polished it up, made it look half decent.
Here's the maker's mark. I don't know if you can see it. It's very, very faint. And I was able to read it, and I did the research, and this particular knife maker it says Great Lakes Knife Maker. And
Okay.
he had passed away about 10 years ago. And for years, I was hoping to be able to find him and show him this and say, I found this, I rescued this knife. And so I was able to restore it, not make it new, just, get some of the pitting out, get some of the rust, and clean up the scales. And it's such a beautiful little
came
knife.
out really nice. So you did reach out to him?
No, I never found him. And then I found someone who knew him and who told me that, yes, he had passed away. And I'm going to remind me to bring this to the next Gator Cutlery Club to show this to you. It's just
that would be
such
awesome.
a beautiful little knife.
That's an awesome little knife. I love that thing. What's up, Byron? How's it going, buddy? I know, Chris, you are retired, still trying to find your way. Is Kelly trying to get you to work? She'll send you some of those stainless steel balls. She can make you some of those monkey fists for her. That we have some makers in the chat. Kelly's Mishmash is she makes paracord items, and one of the things she does is these monkey fists. I don't know if you've ever heard of a monkey fist.
Yes, I know what that is. I wish I knew how to make that.
It's stainless steel ball like that big with just paracord wrapped. She made me one. It's sitting right up here. That's a weapon. That's a shin smasher right there.
That's a weapon.
It's a keychain. It's just a keychain. What are you talking about? It's just my keychain. But there's literally a solid stainless steel ball in there. So, yeah, she makes these things all different sizes, smaller, bigger. She did, I think, a pool ball sized one. But, yeah, she does some really cool stuff. And then
the best I can do with paracord is a snake knot for my life.
Yeah, that's about the extent of what I can do is that right there.
So I was at a gem and mineral show today, and I bought some pieces of coral, and my plan is to drill it out and use that as a lanyard bead.
Yeah, it's coral. Awesome. Like real coral?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, Kathleen Kelly is awesome. Oh, look at that. What?
It's a string.
Okay. Yeah. You cut that up, make little beads out of it. That's for sure.
Right. So it requires some special tools and some special techniques. But hey, I'm up for it.
Yeah. I mean, because my wife is into the gem and mineral stuff. And I found some of that True Stone turquoise and crushed coral True Stone material.
Mm-hmm.
They had a big sheets of it. I picked it up. I'm still using that stuff.
That's nice stuff. Yeah.
Just for like inlays and that kind of stuff. Just really good material or bolsters or something. It's really, really great.
Yeah, you got to mix it up. And if you're not learning new techniques, working with new materials, working with new designs, then you're stagnating.
Oh yeah. And these guys always keep me busy, that's for sure. They always keep me busy.
And sometimes you have to work with wood.
Yeah, so wait, this thing is awesome. So what this is tell them what it is, Jim. You tell them what it is.
So it's a piece of quilted maple. and you can see the grain and the figure that's in it. All right. So this is actually just a cheese knife. That's all. My wife uses one. It lives in the butter dish, and so we just scrape up some butter and butter the bread or whatever. And so I made one for my daughter. I bought a curly maple cutting board at Mayfair on the Lake. It's a juried art show, really, outdoor juried art show. And this guy that works with wood, exotic woods, just beautiful stuff. He makes these amazing sculptures.
Yeah.
And so he gives me the cutoffs, these cast-offs. All right, so I've got boxes of this incredible wood.
That's awesome.
And so often I use that for a stand or display stand.
That's where you get all your wood from. Okay.
Yeah. And so I figured, what the heck? So I made one for my daughter. I posted a picture online. A friend of ours living in Arkansas commented and said, oh, I want one. It's okay. So I'll make one and give it to her.
Here you go. That's awesome.
Why not? Why wouldn't we want to give something away?
Oh, yeah, I know. It's something like that. That's fun. Like I just did recently, I made a little worry stone out of kieranite.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I may have showed you a picture of it when we were
love that idea. Yeah.
And I ended up just giving it to my daughter. I was like, she's actually going to Europe for this summer for school. But I ended up just giving it to her. Just a little worry stone.
She will treasure that stone for
I
her
hope.
entire life.
She does have one of my knives. I did make her a little fixed blade, which she's like, I use that thing all the time. I'm like, well, you need to give it back so I can sharpen it because I know that thing. Yeah, Ed, I know people, not everybody's a lanyard person. I'm not a lanyard guy, but if it's a small 3-finger fixed blade, like my Bloom, then the lanyard becomes that integral part of where the pinky goes.
It must have a lanyard, all right?
And so it must have a lanyard.
Lanyard.
Yeah. So if your pinky's hanging off, that lanyard does become an integral. And I learned that from my CKRT Minimalist, which was my gateway knife into little fixed blades. You know what that is. This.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I have one.
Yeah.
I have one.
A lot of people have them. Yeah, but that was my gateway knife into fixed blades, and it taught me, okay, it's 3 fingers, obviously, because that handle is made that way. But the lanyard does become a little integral part of the handle. So that's why I've always done that on my knives. And what's fun is I actually got to meet Alan Foltz, who is the designer of that knife. So that's kind of fun. But yeah, I know a lot of people aren't into lanyards. I'm not into it anyway, but.
Well, I like what you did with the beads that you put on there.
Yeah.
That you take a piece of the handle material and make the bead out of that.
Yeah.
You know what that's called, Scott? It's called value added.
Yeah.
It costs you next to nothing to do it, all right? Yet it adds a measure of value to that knife that's intangible.
Yep. Which I try to do on most of my knives, and everybody asks for them, and sometimes it's a pain in the butt because you're dealing with you're dealing with small, especially when you're dealing with something like this. That's 3 pieces. So you have the 2 pieces, and then you have the G10 in the middle, and you got to glue all that stuff together, and try not to get it too hot where the glue pops apart when you're trying to shape that bead.
you just reminded me of something. All right, I'm going to have to do that. The knife that I'm working on right now is this.
Yeah, that you showed me that thing. That thing is awesome.
Did I? Yeah.
Yeah, you brought it to the meeting.
So I'm gluing up the scales right now, and I'm using. In fact, I glued them up just before coming on tonight. So it's buffalo horn, black buffalo horn, with a yellow liner material, yellow G10, and I call this knife a Hornet.
Right? I love that.
You know, it's just a little thing that flies around and stings you because it's just, you know. And so the black and the yellow, of course, go with that. And
yeah, absolutely.
And now, and I didn't think of it before, but I will glue up 2 pieces of buffalo horn with the yellow liner material between it and make a bead, just like you did with that. I hadn't thought of it before. Thank you.
So what I have done, and it's not easy to try to get the glue to adhere a little bit better, is I'll drill tiny holes, or at least 3 to 4 little holes in the G10, not too far away from your center hole, so that at least you have space to, you know, you don't want obviously the hole exposed, so you have to drill the hole
just tightly in the center, and
just so
the
glue,
epoxy something to hold on to.
Yeah,
because the G10 doesn't want to stick. It doesn't want to stick to the G10.
No, so I've done that, and I know I don't have anything else here, but I actually in the shop I have 5 beads all glued up that are just ready to be shaped just for this month's build. So I do them. They're fun, but it is just an added extra little step to try to glue them up and get them shaped and to do all that.
How do you shape them? What do you stick a drill bit into the hole?
I turn my Dremel into a lathe.
Okay.
So I have the smallest, I guess the 1/8-inch drum sander bit, and I drill the hole big enough that it fits over that, and then I can expand that little barrel.
Yes.
And then it stays on, and I could just take it to the grinder. I could work it with sandpaper. I could take it to the polishing wheel, and I've turned it into a lathe. It's just something I came up with, and I was like, yeah, this will work. And
thanks for the tip, because I was wondering how I was going to do that.
Yeah. So I have someone donated a battery powered Dremel, so I can move that thing all around the shop without a wire or anything attached. So I could just
gotta love batteries.
Yep. Well,
makes life easy.
It works most of the time, and then it doesn't take long to charge it back up. But I don't remember the size of the hole, but
I'll figure that out.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
It has to be big enough that the 2 paracord fits through, and then that the smallest size Dremel thing fits on there. But I've done it. I'm more than happy to share that, because basically I'm turning my Dremel into a little lathe that I can work off of, because it spins and I can sand it and shape it and do everything that I need.
Polish it.
Yeah. Take it to the polishing wheel if you need to, and just do everything. And I've done beads out of my Carta and True Stone and all those things. So it's just, you got to be careful, because it'll heat up pretty quick.
Well, you just solved a problem for me that I hadn't addressed yet.
Yeah, the beads are fun. I started doing them, and it just kind of made sense to me that if I'm going to do handle material and I have all these little cut off pieces of handle material, then I can just do a little bead out of it in some way, shape, or form.
You don't need a big piece.
Yeah, you don't need anything, just a small little square to make a bead. And I have the bin full of the cutoff material that I'll just dig through and find something to do on.
So I'm probably going to replace the bead on this, because I have some cutoff pieces of this handle material.
Yeah. So
I'll make a bead out of this handle material.
Yeah, that carbon fiber material makes good beads.
Oh, it's beautiful stuff. It polishes up so well.
Oh yeah.
It's actually easy to polish.
Yeah, no, that stuff is, it's funny. Who was I talking? I was talking to somebody about it, another maker. That carbon fiber material is just the worst to try to cut, but to sand or to put on the grinder, you have to be careful because it moves really fast.
It's like Kieranite.
Yeah, like, or like a nice soft G10 or something. It moves, but trying to cut it though on a bandsaw or something like that, it will tear up some bandsaw blades real quick.
Oh, I cut G10 on my bandsaw, my wood cutting bandsaw, and it throws sparks. It's weird.
That is so weird. I was gonna ask, like, that you just brought up a good question, because I have my little portable bandsaw with a stand.
Yep.
The Swag off-road stand with a pedal on it, I use that for pretty much everything. Yep. I try to use brand new blades for cutting of steel, and then once they're a little worn out, I'll just throw that handle material on it. But you can use a wood bandsaw to cut some of the handle materials out.
I do, yes.
And it doesn't, like, G10 or micarta won't ruin those.
Well, the G10, like I said, the G10 throws sparks, but I can cut micarta all day long. Stabilized wood, no problem.
Yeah. So, do you have to get a special blade or anything, or no?
I don't know. It's just a wood cutting blade. Yeah.
Okay.
Just a wood cutting blade. It doesn't like tight curves because it's a half inch wide blade.
Yeah.
If I used a 1/4 inch blade, then the tight curves would be easier. But you just go back and forth. You take off.
Yeah, I'm not. That's why we have the grinder. We don't need curves on that.
No,
we do flat, and then we could do the curves on the grinder if we need to.
Yeah, right.
I just need to get it somewhat close, and then the rest of it I can do on the grinder.
Of course, why waste your sandpaper on stuff that you can cut away?
Yeah, if I can get it close, I might have to look into that too. Just another tool, Jim. It's just another tool.
Well, I was advised by one of my mentors to buy all of my tools while I'm still working full time, and it makes perfect sense.
Well, yeah.
Because if I'm retired and depending on I've got a fixed income and I'm depending on selling knives to buy more materials or to buy tools, it's going to be tight.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't want I'm not going to have that $2,000 just laying around anymore. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Not unless I'm selling a kidney, and
listen, we don't need to go there.
No, I hope not,
No, yeah, it totally makes sense. And I'm slowly adding more and more stuff to my shop, and it's slowly getting filled. I have 2 drill press now, and I'm going to end up with 2 grinders at this point if I can't get that one fixed. I wish I had room for a 2x72. I just don't have space. I'd have to really move some stuff around, especially if I get a kiln and everything else. I don't even know where that would go. Luckily, those things aren't very heavy, so you could put it away and pull it out when you need to.
Well, like my Portaband, all right, my metal cutting bandsaw, I put it away when I'm not using it.
Yeah.
I think what I'd like to be able to use it more without having to unpack it and set it up and all that. I'm probably going to find a spot and anchor it, so it'll always be there. I just have to walk over and
that's kind of I can just kind of move. I move back and then I can pull it forward, so it's there. There's just no space.
Well, I'm pretty fortunate. When we moved here, I put up a metal building for a garage. So it's 24 by 36. And I separated 1/3 of it for my workshop. So my workshop is 14 by 24, which is a nice size.
Yeah, it's a good size.
and I'm already running out of room. I'm gonna have to.
I have half of that. No, I'm like 6 foot by 8 foot space. Basically, is my workspace.
Is that a third bedroom, or in the
No,
closet?
it's
The garage.
my garage. So okay, so I'm sitting in my garage. The wall behind me is a third of my garage. So, and then it's a 2-car garage. I've walled it off. There's an air conditioner above my head. So this room stays pretty comfortable. This used to be used for something else. And this is kind of like my finishing room where I'll do some hand polishing, and I do my Kydex pressing in here.
Mhm.
I'll do my etching of the Maker's Mark, and I just do a lot of YouTube stuff in here. But then on the other side of that wall is the other 2/3 of the garage. And basically I have from this door to this wall. And that's all I have as far as my shop. So I have very small shop, and I don't have land or anything like that. So it's not like I can expand anywhere. There's nowhere else for me to go.
Yeah.
So I'm making do with what I have. That's for sure.
Well, that's it. You know, and no matter how much space we allot for our workshop, we're always going to need more down the road.
Oh yeah.
Never going to be enough.
It's going to be a matter of finding shelves now, and then taking a tool off and then putting another tool away just to make the space. That's basically what's going to end up happening at some point in time. Build a second story. I can't do that, Jim. I don't think my HOA would be very happy if I start building onto the house and adding on.
Well, too bad we're in Florida, because in many other states you could go down. You know,
Yeah.
the basement.
Well, there's the basement, yes, but that ain't happening where I'm at. That's for sure.
No, the water table is pretty close to the surface, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not gonna be good. No, now Chris, War Room EDC, who's in the chat, he's been here, and Byron has been here, and they've seen my shop, and it would be the last thing you would expect in this area that there would be a knife maker. So yeah, no, okay. So I live in a townhome. Jim.
Yeah.
And I can't build up and I can't expand out. There's just nowhere else for me to go. So I'm stuck with what I have, and the mortgage, the mortgage is in sight, and there's no reason to move right now.
Well, Dan Steffen, my first mentor, used the third bedroom in his house as his shop.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I have a separate, standalone, it's a detached garage. I've got an exhaust fan up here, so I can smoke cigars in here all day long. And
that's all you need, and you're done.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've got the TV over there, so I can watch the football games during the season.
Oh, I've been in there. That you had that. You got a cool little lounge space in there and everything else.
Yeah, it's a man cave. It's a proper man cave.
It is a man cave. This is my man cave right here. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Jim, you said it. I am pretty screwed.
No,
I make do with what I have. That is for sure. But that there's no way to expand. But I need to figure it out.
You turn out some fine knives in that space, so there's nothing to be ashamed of.
Thank you, sir.
No regrets.
Oh no, I'm loving every bit of this, and I thank you, because to get me started and to get me traveling down this path. And I am 100% obsessed with this now, and trying to be better and trying to chase that, whatever the next thing is in design or patterns or whatever it is. And you as a maker, you get all kinds of people telling you what you can do or what you should do, but you just take every little grain of salt of all of those things and you turn it into your own way. And nothing's wrong, nothing's right. It's just kind of whatever fits for you.
That's good advice. I think that we're obligated to find the things that make us happy and pursue those. And if it turns out, that making one knife a month makes me happy, then that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Just I'm gonna love my wife, my daughter and family, my grandchildren. I'm going to ride my motorcycle, smoke my cigars, and just live my life.
There is nothing wrong with that, and if that's what makes you happy, then that's what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I know that we have talked before about what the future for Jim, because I know one of the people in the chat have already started to ask, where can we find Jim? Where can we get? So it's like, you can follow him on Instagram. I think you have Facebook too. I don't have Facebook, so I don't have any of that. But I also know that Jim is probably he just wants to make a knife, and if somebody likes it, then he'll sell it to you. So I don't know if somebody. How does somebody see your work, and how does somebody maybe pick up one?
Well, I have a website that is woefully ignored. That's JimHoehneknives.com, HOEHNE. I also have the Instagram, Jim Hoehne. I have a Facebook page, Jim Hoehne Knives. That's easy for me to post my pictures. Yeah, that's the website there. The knife is the thing.
Yep. So this is the website. He has pictures of some of the patterns that he does. The falcon. We already said he likes birds of prey. So you have all of these that are on there.
So look at that line drawing that you just scrolled past, right? That knife. That knife was finished 5 years ago, and I still haven't posted a picture of it. I just have that stupid cardboard cutout. So there it is.
You got to get the website updated.
I know.
And that's the other form of the shrike. That's the other form of it. Yeah, that one. That's the falcon.
That's the falcon. I love that style and that pattern.
I love wood.
So on the next knife that you just showed, go
Osprey.
Yeah, that one right there. So a friend of mine reached out to me and he said he wanted a Rambo knife. I'm not going to make a Rambo knife. That thing is just butt ugly. I'm just not doing it. So eventually, we went back and forth with designs and settled on that. And
there's nothing wrong with a nice Bowie, but yeah, everybody wants the typical Rambo, but it's like, let me talk you into something a little bit better than what that is. But here's the website, guys. You learn a little bit about them. But yeah. So very stinking cool. I did have that ready. But yeah, thanks, Blue. There it is. There's the website. My moderators are always on top of things and dropping links. So
I live in Lakeland. And if anybody close by is interested in picking my brain or spending some time, my shop is always open.
I need to come by.
Yeah,
I need to see the shop. I know it's changed since I've been there last.
There's a couple of things. Hey, maybe one evening after the Gator Cutlery Club, come on over and
yeah, I could do that.
I'm over there. Outside. We'll start a bonfire and listen to tell each other how great we are.
I could do that for a little bit. That's for sure. I know War Room EDC lives in Lakeland. My buddy who was with me, not at this meeting, but the meeting before, he lives over there. So he's only about 10, 15 minutes away from where we meet. So depending where you are, I've only been there once. So see, he's already inviting himself. He wants to tag along. So
yeah, that's great.
Absolutely, Chris. Absolutely. But you guys, so do any of you guys have any questions for Jim? I'm sure he would love to take any questions, or you guys want to hear anything that we haven't discussed. I know Jim and we've talked, so been I guess, what, 3 years now we've been talking.
Gosh,
since
it's been a long time.
has it, I mean, since I bought that, because I've had that for a while, and this is kind of what started it all. Jim got me hooked on this, and he was a pleasure to work with to get this knife. I got updates because the reason I got into knife making was because basically I had a pattern that I wanted somebody to make, and I picked a knife maker to do it. He said he would do it. He kind of gave me the runaround. He gave me a time frame. We went 2 months past the time frame for which he said he would do it, and when I finally got the finished product, it was like something he threw together in 2 days or something. It was just not done well. So when I saw yours, and I was like, that's a really cool design, and then I had the experience with that, and that was awesome. And even the way that you were like, hey, here's a website, pick some handle material. What do you want? And so I picked out the micarta, and you added the blue liners onto it, and you just made it absolutely perfect. I love a rounded spine, and you did that without telling me, or I never asked for it, and you just did it.
No, the knife asked for it.
Yeah, it just turned out so stinking cool. So I love this thing. But yep, 440C, nice thick stock. And yep.
Well, it looks like Swiss cheese under the scales.
Does it?
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, it has to, because it's not that heavy.
No.
It's definitely not heavy. So I do that too. I put a bunch of holes because it's balanced right there. That's for sure. So
I enjoy that process. When someone wants to buy a knife and they're not really sure what they want, I love that back and forth that takes place.
Yep.
And then once all the questions are answered and the direction is chosen, then I get to work.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the unfortunate part for me is that it becomes work at that time, as opposed to, just making a knife that I want to make and making the changes and going along. A lot of knife makers have a picture in their brain about what that knife is going to look like when they're done. I don't. I struggle with that. So I have a rough idea of what it's going to look like. And then, halfway into it, I'll decide, well, I'm going to change that profile a little bit. Well, I'm going to use different materials. Well, I'm going to add bolsters. And it just evolves. And that's the artistic process that I've been missing. And you and I have talked about this, and the last month has been difficult for me because I've been in a bit of a funk. Just finishing up some projects that were in the works, and just losing my mojo. All right, and it wasn't until we talked at the meeting on Tuesday, and I continued that discussion in that vein with other people. And I realized that I just want to make the knives that I want to make. I'm tired of the orders. But then that'll change. Someone comes up with an idea and I say, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And then it's work again.
It's okay to say no too, because I've had to. People have shared designs, and they're like, hey, do you think you could do this? And I've had to be like, it's not really my design style. I'm not really comfortable doing that design. Or they'll do something that is so out there that I'm like, there's no way I can even make that kind of design, like a karambit or something like that. It's that curved shape. Like even this knife that I did, that was not easy for me to do, even though that curve is not really that. It's not that curved, but just that curve alone was not easy to.
I can see how you would have trouble with those bevels.
Yeah, it's just not easy it wasn't easy to do those, but I've had to tell people, sorry, I'm not your guy. And that there's nothing wrong with it.
No.
But yeah. Byron, Splitting Slices, do you go to shows to sell knives, or do you have any favorite venues, any shows planned for the rest of 2025?
Well, I work full time, and so I'm looking forward to retirement when I can go to shows. There's shows in Tennessee, Arkansas, in Louisiana, Pennsylvania. There are shows that could be a circuit, right? And once I retire and I have the time to travel and go to these shows, well, then I will. Right now, the only show that I go to is the Gator Cutlery Show, and that's always the last weekend in January. So I invite people, encourage people to come to the show. There's some amazing knife makers there that will just knock your socks off. There are also the collectibles. There are men that and women that have that buy and sell knives, and you're going to find things there that you may not find anywhere else. Plus, there's materials. Oh man,
Yeah.
Steel.
Alabama Damascus is there, and there's some of the other guys that have materials at that show is awesome.
Yeah, scale materials. So yeah, it's a nice
thing. I like that show because it's small. You get a little bit of everything at that show. You spend a couple hours, and you have a really great time talking knives with some really great people. So
right,
it's a really fun show. I really enjoy it. And that's kind of where I met you and got to meet all the other Corey and everybody else who I've become friendly with over there. Evan Martin I met there, and just a lot of other people. Alabama Damascus now, and some other people that just they have really cool stuff at that show. So yeah, Jim, I knew that was coming too. I knew it was coming too. This Bluminati wants the little joke is they want me to make this knife, but like that much bigger. And I'm like, it was scary to do that one, let alone one twice the size. I don't even know what that would be like. I don't know.
Hey, just jump in there, brother.
I know. You just have to do it.
So
and that's how I ended up doing this is I just did it. And it ended up somehow I just ended up doing it. The problem is that I run into, just like you said, is finding the time to doing a project that I want to do between everybody else's projects that they want. And so
time is limited. We just have 24 hours in a day, and it makes it tough. One of the things that you mentioned that scaling up into a larger size. One of my favorite patterns is the Osprey, and so I've made this. This is a template.
Yep.
My wife used to call me a template maker, not a knife maker, because I would just make lots of templates. Well, this is the Osprey template, but shrunk down 30%.
There you go.
So now this becomes a true everyday carry, whereas the Osprey is really more of a camp knife, a hunting knife, and it's not something you can put into your pocket or wear on your hip comfortably. This, yes. Yeah. And so this will be my next project after I finish my cheese knives.
It's funny after the cheese knives. It's funny because I'm the opposite. It's like I start off real small, and then everybody wants me to go bigger because I have all of these, all of my patterns that I have. I do the wood. I make the wood patterns, but I have all my every knife that I've done has a little pattern to it, and I have my little wooden patterns that I can pull it out whenever I'm ready. Whenever I want to do that knife, I can just I have the pattern ready to go.
See, the nice thing about the pattern is, we can draw a knife on a piece of paper and say, "Oh, that looks great," but when you cut it out of a piece of wood or a piece of Lexan, and then hold it, you'll realize where the faults are. You'll realize where the problems are, and then you correct it.
Absolutely.
It's a lot easier to do that than it is.
I love it. That's exactly my thought process. Is I'll draw something. I have 3 drawings sitting on my bench right here that I want to do, new patterns, or different patterns that I've
Yeah.
been wanting to do, but I'll cut them out, and I even though it's just a flat piece of wood, it still gives you an idea of, once the handle scales and everything are there, it gives you a really good idea of what that's going to feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Does it need a lanyard? Does it not need a lanyard? Where jimping is going to be? And like all these things run through your head of what that end product is going to look like. So it's cool. And, you know, I like that you do the Lexan. I think I have a little sheet of it. I need to start doing the Lexan. That is for sure.
Yeah, don't use plexiglass. Plexiglass is too
that's
brittle.
That'll brittle. That'll crack all over the place.
Yes. Lexan is much more durable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, somebody made me a Lexan one for a design that they did. So this guy in Germany sent me this design, and he sent me the paper drawing, and he sent me some plexi. He had cut it out, or had somebody cut it out. I don't know. And he sent me that. So now I do have one that's
interesting. I like that.
Yeah, it's called the Yokdo. Yeah. It's called the Yokdo. But yeah, it's a good design. I actually this is what it looks like. There.
I thought that looked familiar.
I was playing with some 3D printing, and the 3D printer kind of made that for me. But yeah, so that's the Yokdo. Really cool. Yeah,
once you have it on a piece of plastic or wood, or what 3D printed, you can feel where the hot spots are. And adjustments,
or where they possibly could be. It's just that tactile thing of having it in your hand. It's just everything. So yeah, that's part of my design process too. I'll put it in wood. Not only is it there because whenever I want to redo it, it's there. I can do it whenever I want. But I also like it because I get to actually experience what that's going to feel like for whatever that design is going to be.
So I want to work with you and with Corey on some ideas on how to improve the Gator Knife Show.
Yeah.
And they've been doing it the same way for so long, and I think that it's easy to get stuck in a groove, in a rut. And so I've jotted down some ideas. I'm going to forward them, that list to you, and then also to Corey. And let's see what we can do, a little brainstorming about. And one of the ideas, all right, is a knife university. And that's, Blade does it. They call it Blade University, where the classes are held in just a little corner of the area. All right, and it might be on sharpening. It might be how to photograph a knife. Another type of lecture could be how different finishes, and just some ideas. Because most of the people that come into a knife show are eager to learn. Most of the people that come into a knife show they're either knife collectors, knife users, or knife makers. And many of them, I don't know, pick a number, maybe 30% of the attendees to a knife show have already made a knife or want to make a knife, or they're starting out, they want to improve their skills. So I think
I was in that boat.
Something like that could work.
Yep. Yeah, I think, that's a really good idea. Definitely, if they're going to switch venues, which I don't know, there was some talk of that, but yeah, definitely we'll talk offline about all those kind of things. And I'm sure Corey now, because he's more invested in the club, being the vice president and everything, that I know he might have some ideas. I haven't experienced a lot of Blade shows like Atlanta or anything else, so you guys probably have more experience with the show process than I do. But yeah,
well, look what you've done.
To be part of it.
Done with social media.
Well, Yeah, I stumbled into that.
Well, there's that, that's a topic that I think a lot of people would gravitate to and want to enhance their business or to get the word out more effectively about
Yeah.
their knife making.
I can definitely talk about that. That is for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would attend that class.
It's a second part-time job, I can tell you that much. And then you got to deal with these crazy people over here. That,
oh yeah.
Yes. No.
They're crazy like us.
Here's the thing, though. The online knife community is absolutely amazing. Just like the knife maker community is amazing, the online knife community, it will support you until you try to cross them or you do something shady, and then they will turn on you real quick. But that's just because. But that's if you do something that's not, not what they expect, then they will take you down. But
that's karma, brother. That's karma.
It is absolutely is karma. And one of the content creators came up with a hashtag, and everybody kind of lives by it. It's DSKFS. Hashtag DSKFS. Do something kind for someone. And that's the mantra. That's the mantra that we have. Here, I'll get it.
I'm writing that down. Yeah. I love it. Thank you.
Do something kind for someone. And most of us all live by that. If we can help somebody out, then we're going to help somebody out. And it's just been absolutely amazing journey, and it's totally fulfilling. But I can definitely be part of that. I would definitely jump in and help out, and to help out the club, because I think what they're doing is awesome. But there's always room for improvement, and just doing the same thing over and over and over again for 15 years. You got to try something new.
Well, part of the problem that we don't like to talk about is that the knife making community is aging. And knife makers, the talented high-end knife makers, are growing older, and they're passing away. They're dying. And where we need younger knife makers to come into the knife making community, we need them to bring their fresh ideas to our world.
Yep.
And social media is one of those ideas.
Who's the next great maker?
Right.
There are plenty of young, talented makers out there. I don't know if there's many in this particular area, but there's some great makers that come to that show that are doing some really great stuff. But absolutely, to get the word out, to do that, yeah.
Want to hear from them.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to get them involved with that and to grow that show. I think that would be awesome. But yeah, we could talk about it definitely offline and to do that. But anybody else have any questions for Jim? We're approaching our 2-hour mark, so we'll be jumping off and finishing this one up. So actually, I'm off tomorrow, but I still have a lot of work to do.
So my cell phone number is 727-688-7100. Feel free to text me. Introduce yourself. You've got something to say. I'd love to hear it. You have a question or about the art of knife making? If I can help you, I'll be happy to do it.
Yep. Yeah, Jim, there are some really great ones out there. But Blade Show is a whole nother animal than most other knife shows. There's plenty of young makers that are just killing it. That's for sure.
Right.
There absolutely is. But to Jim's point, a lot of these guys that are just getting older and just not able to do it anymore, they need to pass all of that information and all that knowledge on to the next person before it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
If we weren't all crazy, some rich guy named Buffett. So, all right. Well, very good. I don't see any of the questions, but guys, you are awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, Jim. Again, I thank you for doing this with me. This was fun. I look forward to hanging out more. And now that I have some more time I need to get around to all these guys' shops that you're talking about and doing that. I need to go see Corey in his shop because he's doing some amazing stuff. You're doing some amazing stuff. I'm really looking forward to what you're going to do next, because if you're just going to kind of make something that you want to make, I already know it's going to be really cool. That is for sure.
Yeah. So the next one up is going to be Hornet. All right. So that should be fun. I'm really
interested on what that's going to end up looking like. That is for sure. I think it's going to be cool.
The grinds are going to be spectacular.
Yeah, the grind's going to be fun. Byron, thank you, or Sean, thank you for being a member for 9 months. You're awesome, man. Talon, salute to you, my friend. Thank you for all of your support and what you do. Again, Bluminati, thank you for dropping those links. My moderators and channel members, thank you very much. You guys are all awesome. And to all of our memories for tomorrow, it is Memorial Day. So for all of those that lost their lives, we thank you, and everybody who served, we thank you so much. So just remember what that day is about, guys. Don't ever forget what that is about. So guys, thank you again very much for popping in. Please remember, as always, please subscribe, like, leave a comment, or not. Again, the choice is always yours. We'll see you on